Hi everyone, I just wanted to do a quick guide today just on the Dota 2 title menu interface. I know you're probably thinking, well, it looks pretty simple, but I can assure you it's not, especially if you're a new player. So as you can see here, you've got a blog which basically just has some articles in regards to some of the updates and things like that. You've got the news tab here. That basically just tells you some information in regards to Dota 2. As you can see, they've got a new headset out, which looks reasonably nice. Um, You've got the updates tab. This, as you can probably imagine, just tells you updates in regards to things like patches, new heroes, obviously some bug fixes, things like that. International, let's have a look. Might take a little while to buffer up. Yeah, you'll probably notice that the interface itself is a little bit laggy. I'm not sure if that's intended or not, as it is still in beta, so it may potentially get fixed. Well, we'll just skip that for now. We'll go to store. So what you got on the first tab is, as you can imagine, the store. This features all of the items that's currently contained in Dota 2, or well, all of the official items, because you can go on the workshop. You've got the top sellers tab. As you can imagine, this shows you obviously all the best selling items. You've got the bundles. Bundles basically is like a set of items for specific characters. So as you can see, you've got all the items for different sets, things like that. Some of them are quite expensive, some of them are quite cheap. I wouldn't say the price particularly affects the looks. Just kind of depends what you like, really. You've got the items tab. Basically what this is it's like single listed items, so you could potentially buy an item to go towards a set, but don't make the mistake of thinking that all of the items that you'll see in the singly listed items will be in bundles, because sometimes items are just sort of standalone items. You've got the tournaments tab. Basically, you can buy sort of tickets for all the kind of major Dota 2 tournaments. I imagine this is for sort of live streaming and things like that. I've never really did this before, but if that's your thing, then go for it. As you'll probably notice, you can sometimes get couriers included, or maybe items with the tickets that you buy. So you should definitely watch out for that if that's your kind of thing. You have the teams tab. This is basically just sort of banners and flags and things that the sort of official tournament teams use, I think, as far as I'm aware. Um, so next tab we have the backpack. This is just obviously all the items that you've accumulated. As you can see, I've got some, not particularly been playing for so long, so I don't have as many as maybe other people. You've got the loadout. Basically, this lets you customize a character by using items that you may have accumulated in game or potentially bought from the store. As you can see, this is the Gifts of Yoxrith set, which is pretty nice looking. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the Rain character from Mortal Kombat, which I thought was pretty cool. So what you can do is, once you've equipped these items that you like, you could use this hero in your profile. The profile is what somebody will see if they actually expand your profile. It'll tell you some stats regarding sort of the games you've played, how many you've won, maybe some commendations, maybe people like playing with you. Obviously, the most successful heroes here, as you can see, Sniper, one of my best. Naga Siren, I wouldn't say it's one of my best, but I've certainly played quite a few with her. Spirit Breaker, again, quite a good character. He's nice to sort of initiate fights, stuff like that. Um, Game history, as you can see here, just kind of tells you about what's happened, what I've been doing. You've got the heroes played, tells you sort of the wins, the losses. Unfortunately, if you expand another person's profile, they won't be able to see how many losses that you've accumulated, which I don't think is particularly important. As far as I'm aware, you may be able to enable this option in your settings, which I'll show you in a moment. So what you've got next is the workshop. This is basically for sort of creating items, submitting items. Sorry about that, that's my alarm going off. And you've got the workshop you can just sort of go through, look at some of the user created items, which is pretty cool if you're into that thing. Next tab, we have the play tab. Again, I would say reasonably straightforward. Find a match. This is basically to queue 5v5 with obviously all random players, or if you invite one of your friends to party by sort of doing that, as you can see, bringing it up one of your friends, then you can obviously click invite party, they can accept, and then you can click find match. Um, on the Find Match tab, you have different modes that you can select, multiple modes, or you might just want to select one mode that you prefer playing. You've got the All Pick mode that basically lets everybody pick their own hero, whoever they want. You've got the Single Draft mode. This basically selects a Strength hero, a Agility hero, and an Intelligence hero. So you've got three characters to pick from there potentially, which I would say is quite fun. Helps you sort of learn as well if you want to try out some different characters. You've got the captain's mode. Basically, each team assigns a captain, as you can see, who makes all of the hero selections. If you're sort of on Ventrilo or Skype or anything like that, you can obviously tell the captain who you want to play. Captains also have the power to ban heroes from the pool, as you can see, which is quite useful. In a way, I mean, if you've never really played against the opposing team, then you might not know sort of who they're going to pick or who they're going to be good at. But it's definitely great for sort of banning those snowball heroes who can sort of become out of control. Um, you got the random draft mode. As you can see here, players take turns selecting a hero from a shared pool of 20 random heroes. So basically, what happens don't quote us here, but as far as I'm aware, there's sort of about 80 to 90 heroes in the game. Obviously, there'll be more added eventually. Basically, it takes 20 heroes out of those 80 to 90, however many there is, and lets you obviously select from them. You got the random draft. Sorry, not the random draft. The least played. This basically, as you can probably imagine, gives you the characters that you haven't played a lot. To select from, and you've got all random. Basically, everybody's just given a random hero. So again, pretty straightforward. Then you save settings, whatever you want to pick, that's fine. You've got the regions, wherever you want to queue to, you can queue multiple regions. Not really a problem. Doesn't particularly affect the time. You've got the languages: English, Russian, Chinese. So potentially, if you sort of speak any other languages and you have a preference, then you can use that. Find a co-op match. Again, this is find a co-op bot match. Again, this is pretty straightforward. You have 5 real players from sort of all across the world, who are sort of on your own team, which is basically a player team, and then you've got the opposite team, which is a bot team. So basically, allows people to practice a little bit against the bots, which is quite nice. Um, You've got the team match. I'm not in a team, so I can't particularly show you this, but if you have a team, you can select your team and then invite your team to the party and then quickly find a match. Find a lobby. This is useful if you have any friends who, say, have created a lobby, and you want to queue sort of maybe with bots and maybe a mixture of bots, or maybe you want to do 5v5, so maybe you have 9 friends who are available. And then you click find a lobby, and then you sort of it'll automatically search for it, sort of out of your friends list, and then you'll be queued into that, and it'll display the available lobby games. Or you can create your own lobby. Basically, this creates the lobby, and then you can tell your friends just to sort of click the find a lobby, and they can join your lobby. And finally, you've got the practice versus bots. Basically, you can have yourself, and then you can have 4 bots on your own team, and then 5 bots on the opposite team. So it's basically like a full bot game. This basically allows you to play around without sort of too much punishment, especially if you're a new player. Difficulty here, sort of passive, don't do anything. Easy, medium, hard, unfair. Um, I'd say the bots on this game are all pretty challenging, to be honest, especially if you're new anyway. So it's not like they're gonna sort of lay down or bend over backwards for you. Um, and next tab, we've got the watch tab. The great thing about Dota 2 is, as you may know, you can actually watch games live streamed. So let's say a friend is in a game, let's say this person is in a game, then you can actually click watch game, it'll appear on this tab, and you can watch them live, which is great. So maybe if they're a more experienced friend, you can actually watch what they're doing, which is quite useful. Um, the watch tab here, you can actually watch some of the best players playing. Again, this is useful if you want to learn any kind of tips or tricks. Um, so you've got live games which are currently being played by the top teams. You've got tournament games here. You've got the events sort of coming up. You can plan this with your calendar. Pretty useful. The Learn tab, this is great. Especially if you're a new player, I would definitely say you should have a look through this and look at some of the abilities that the characters can do. Let's say, for example, we click on Sven. He's a strength hero, as you can see. It tells you sort of the description of what he can do. He's a disabler, initiator, carry, support. I would definitely advise going on a Dota 2 wiki just to kind of find out what these actually mean before sort of picking. As you can see, you've got the overview. It tells you the abilities. You've got, say, Stormhammer. That's obviously a stun. You've got Great Cleave. That hits obviously multiple targets, so it spreads the damage that you do. Warcry obviously increases movement speed. God Strength, that's his ultimate ability. So every hero will have an ultimate ability. For Sven, this particular ability increases his damage quite a lot, so it's great if you want to time any kind of burst or any kind of nukes in a fight. As you can see, if you scroll down, it'll actually give you videos to display what the abilities do. So if you are a new player, I definitely advise checking this out because you'll sort of get a lot of information in regards to that. Items, again, this is kind of like learning the heroes, but in regards to the items. So you can sort of have a look through, see what the items do, see what stats they give you, any kind of special abilities. Definitely worth checking that out. Recently implemented is the build tab. You can actually create new hero builds now. So let's say, for example, you have any kind of suggestions in regards to how a character should be played. You can sort of click on it. Let's say Drow Ranger. Load up, you can select the title of your hero's build. You can obviously make the item build here with some of the items in game, and you've got the ability build. So however you think you should level up and select the abilities, or even if you want to do stats over maybe abilities potentially, you can obviously just add that in there, which is great. But I'll leave that for now, as it is pretty new, and I'm going to have to explore that myself. And last but not least, you've got the community tab. You've got the Hall of Fame under the community tab. And what this tells you is you've got the Hall of Fame. It's updated every week. Tells you which sort of players have been playing exceptionally well at certain heroes. So this person's been playing great at Tusk. You've got this guy playing great at Invoker. You've got the featured farmer at the bottom. This basically tells you who's been able to farm the most gold per minute in a certain week. So yeah, some things to aim for if you want to be. I don't know, maybe famous on the internet, potentially. You've got the teams list tab. This will obviously just tell you the tournament team profiles, so tell you all the kind of best tournament teams, so you can have a look through them. And you've got my teams. This will obviously allow you to create a team with friends if you want to do that. So that's basically the rundown of the interface. Obviously, you've got your friends here just at the bottom right, so they're easily accessible. Let's say, for example, I wanted to message Quen here, so you would click send message, and then obviously the Steam overlay will load up and allow you to message in game. So yeah, so that's pretty useful. Now that's the interface itself. Just to quickly go over the settings, I'm pretty sure you can figure this out yourself, but just to quickly run through that, you can kind of keybind however you want to move your character, sort of how you want to issue commands. You've got the abilities menu, which allows you to keybind certain abilities for the characters that you play. You've got the items inventory hotkeys, because as you may know, when you have items on your character, some of them have special abilities. So what you want to do is hotkey them, obviously. But I find that using the default hotkeys isn't such a problem. Maybe some of them a bit of a stretch if you have sort of particularly small hands. So you may want to change some of them. So yeah, you can have a quick flick through that. In regards to the game, just some things that I would advise is I would definitely turn auto attack off. This may get you killed sometimes if you leave it on, as you may find yourself running towards the enemy after you've killed a creep, which has happened to me quite a few times, especially in the beginning of the game. So yeah, I would definitely turn that off. Um, Also, the double tap ability self cast, that's pretty useful if you don't want to spend time faffing about hovering your mouse over your character, which isn't particularly a problem, but if you just want to be as efficient as possible, you can actually just click the double tap ability self cast on. So you just double tap, say for example W, and then that would obviously cast a speed buff if you were playing Sven, for example. Um, or or let's say for example, I don't know, you were playing maybe Omni Knight, for example. You've got obviously the magic immunity. You could just double click that, and then obviously that would be applied to yourself without hovering the mouse over the character. So yeah, as you can see, pretty useful. You've got the interface. Sorry, this obviously just allows you to change things like the camera, how you want it to move. Obviously, some of the interface displaying HP, stuff like that. That's pretty useful. Network quality, not particularly sure what that does. High, low. I assume everybody would have that on high. It's not like anybody wants low quality network. There we are. And the video tab, that obviously just allows you to change things like the graphic settings, aspect ratio, resolution. As you can see, I'm running at 2560 by 1440 with a very, very cheap Korean monitor, which is fantastic because it's IPS technology. And I didn't pay very much for it because it was from Korea, which you should probably check out on eBay if you're thinking about updating anything. Um, sound like a salesman. So you've got the audio tab. Obviously, as you can see, since I'm speaking now, you can see it's got the mic threshold. If you lower that, obviously it'll detect with obviously less volume, and it'll produce sound. If you increase that, obviously you'll need to be speaking a bit louder for that to pick up. So there you go. You can enable open mic. I probably wouldn't advise this. I would just use obviously the speak button for Steam, which is pretty useful. Um, Obviously, you can just change the volume settings, things like that. But yeah, pretty straightforward. I hope you've obviously enjoyed this guide. I hope it hasn't been too confusing. As always, I hope people comment, obviously like the video itself, and subscribe as well. Thanks very much, and have a good day, everybody.